What's good, everybody? It's your boy Big Nate. Welcome to Big Nate's Book Reviews, home of the best book reviews. And today I'm wishing everybody a happy 420, and we have something very special in store. So I'm waiting for the clock to turn. It is technically 420 Eve, 419. We're gonna post this on 420 so that I'm smoking in the future with the Big Nate gang. And then on 420, I of course will also be smoking. So we're gonna have all three of us. Oh, and would you look at the time? It is 4:20 p.m. on the clock. Happy 420, everybody. And today we have a very special video because I am doing not a 1 month wrap up. No. Not a 2 month wrap up, but a mini month wrap up where I'm basically just going to go through and talk about some of the books I've been reading over the past few months. Up first, we have Simon Blackburn's Think. So this is basically just like a little book of philosophy, basically like a introduction to all the major different philosophical concepts. It's got like free will, it's got God, it's got knowledge, consciousness, ethics, you name it. It's basically like a survey of like philosophy 101 basically. And Simon Blackburn right here goes through and presents all the major historical arguments and objections against all these different ideas. It's a great little book for people that are interested in getting into like philosophy kind of seriously. And I actually read this book as a recommendation of Jared Henderson for books for if you're trying to get into philosophy. And I had it actually for a class I took years ago, and I read like a chapter, but I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And I can confirm it is in fact a good book for people trying to get into philosophy. One of the things I particularly liked about this book, which perhaps makes it unique from other books. By the way, you know I got a cup of coffee brewed, so just too much, doing too much. Oh wow, I said oh wow. Shit, bro, I'm gonna need to take a recuperatory hit after that. Shit, and a recuperatory drink. No, I'm just playing. But one of the things I like about this book is that Simon Blackburn, particularly in the introduction, but like it's like an overarching theme throughout his explanations of everything, is that he talks about philosophy as conceptual engineering. He says, just as the engineer studies the structure of material things, so too does the philosopher study the structure of thought. And I thought that was a very interesting and correct concept. And he talks about too how he says the mental housing in which we live determines how we act and how we behave and how we just be in the world. So, you know, far from, I feel like, philosophy being, as people think, this abstract, pointless, no connection with everyday life kind of thing, philosophy is actually like one of the most fulfilling and immediately practical things you could do for, I feel like, a well-lived life just at all. And I agree with that wholeheartedly and completely. So that is Simon Blackburn's Think. I give it a B+. Oh, I didn't say who we're smoking this for. We're smoking this for every single author, proportionate to how much I like each book. So do the math. But I give it a B+. I think some of the presentation of some of the arguments is better like written and explained than others. But you know, overall it's like a great book. Up next, two books I've talked about on the channel before. Ficciones and The Aleph by Jorge Luis Borges. I've talked about it in my other video, Books That Changed My Life, so I won't even get too into it, but these are just two books truly that I find to be like actual masterpieces of philosophy and fiction. I've talked about them at length on the podcast, so get there. By the way, bro, there was an episode on The Aleph by Borges that I did it was a great discussion with my friend, honestly one of the best ones we've ever done, and I uploaded it just his audio, so it's like silence, and he said but I've re-uploaded it, so go listen to The Aleph by that's the titular title of this book too, so go get there for real. I swear to God, you won't regret it. But yeah, anyway, Borges, love him. Just truly, I honestly think this is the word for it, is genius. And I don't use that word lightly. But, okay, up next. Yeah, this is a good one too. Hold up. Let me just give me a second. Just give me a second. I'm human too, you know. Take a sip of something yourself, bro. Like, it's not my problem. But up next, we got 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. This was a surprising read for me, in a good way. Oh wait, both Borges books get A+, by the way. Both Borges books. Time Management for Mortals this is what you might call a self-improvement book, a productivity book, except really it's like the philosophy of self-improvement, or more so like productivity. And the reason this is where the title gets derived. I think what's so powerful about this book is that, like, basically from the beginning it's like, okay, and again, it's what the title is. Assuming you live to be 80 years old, which is unlikely, I would argue. Definitely like a healthy 80 years old, you know? So that's already unlikely. And if you're anything like me, because I'm 26, so I'm already well past a quarter of the way there. But assuming you live to be 80, you have 4,000 weeks to live. That's what a human life consists of on the average. Honestly, on the good end average, is 4,000 weeks. So, you know, that's just a very sobering perspective on a lot of different levels. But one of the main, I feel like, insights that comes from this is that because, you know, on the one hand, it's like depressing. It's like, dang, that's just sad. We're just in and out just like that. But there's a lot of good things that come from it too. Like, he talks about how we have this assumption just as people, I feel like, that it's like a natural human tendency for humans to think that, like, they can, like, we have so many things we're trying to do in this world, bro. We got so many things, like, activities we would like to pursue, projects we'd like to take up, places we want, you know how many places, like, I want to go, like, just, there's so much that, like, it seems like a cruel joke that, like, our life is so short, but once you accept that, that's the thing. There's something liberating in accepting that, because it's like, okay, once you just let yourself be okay, because that's like the productivity thing is like, the reason we are so obsessed, I think, with productivity as a culture is because there's like it's like if we could just do everything, then we'd be able to do all of the things we want to do in life. But it's like, no, bro. There is just like the 4,000 weeks just makes it overwhelmingly clear. You have to like pick some certain things that are most meaningful to you in life. And just and that's the thing, he said, also let yourself be okay with just like, you're gonna have to fail in certain roles, you're not gonna be able to do certain things, you're gonna have to disappoint people. Like, that's just it was crazy to think that you wouldn't be able to let some people down and stay on top of everything all at once. It was a mistake to even think you could do that. So yeah, I don't know, that's like, I feel like one of the main things this book, and also he has this thing against like just a critique, you could say, against productivity itself, which is that it's like it doesn't even work like how you think it works. He calls it a trap. He gives an example where he's like, okay, he's been spending a lot of time on emails, so he's just gonna get really good at doing emails so he can efficiently deal with that and move on to the next thing. And then he's like, what happened was, like, the better you got at emails, I just got more emails. You know, it's like the work will always feel like you will never be on top of things. The second you clear your decks, they just are literally fill right back up. So just recognizing that too, in tandem with the fact that it's like, don't forget, because we've confused productivity with life itself, bro. Like, people are all about, yeah, productivity, and it's like, how many people really are concerned about themselves spiritually? Are you, dear viewer, concerned about yourself spiritually? It's an important part of life. But anyway, I like this book had genuine impact on a decision that I'll be announcing in coming videos. But so I actually would say this book did change my life. But all that being said, I'm still gonna give it like a B+. Just the insight is an A+, but I feel like the second half of the book was a little bit just kind of like saying the same, finding new ways to say the same thing. But it's still like definitely B+ is still good. Okay, hold up, I'm gonna shut this down for a second. Up next we have The Storyteller Essays by Walter Benjamin. These are basically, or like, this is basically just a small collection of essays just on the nature of story. And dude, I really do love these NYRB books. They have such a nice feel. Like, that was part of the enjoyment of reading. Like, I feel like I like the stuff better because of the aesthetics of the book. I'm just being honest. But he talks about basically the nature of story. Just for one, in its original conception, where story was something you did like with people. Like, you literally, story requires more than one, like requires an audience, even if it's just like one. And that completely changes the dynamic. And when you do it in a community setting with ritualistic and spiritual intentions, it's like, bro, story is, that's something completely different than just like reading a book, like sitting in your chair reading a book. And think about Odyssey and the Iliad. If you believe the consensus of scholars, those were originally spoken aloud. In Native American traditions, I've been reading, I've been reading Native American mythology. You know what every one of these fucking introductions says? They said that none of these have been written down, and because like they're just not equatable mediums, because they're like they always say like so much is lost when you put it on the page, like because they talk about how it's like it's almost like dramatic, and there's gesturing, and there's so much in the body language and the expression that you just, it's like, bro, on paper it's just so. And that happens in story. All right, and then there's another aspect of it, which I talked about in my Lonesome Dove video, where Larry McMurtry, who went on to write the amazing novel that would Pulitzer Prize, he didn't grow up with books at all for a long portion of his life. But what he said he did was he went on a porch with all of his family after dinner, and they all just told stories. So you can see how that's like a different thing, and how that's something we're losing with the introduction of the solitary, isolated, lonely novel. So, bam, that's Walter Benjamin. Overall, I give this book a B+ too. You know, sometimes it's not written, I will say, like the best. It gets a little like abstracty, and it's like it's not exactly clear even exactly what he's saying, but it's still like it's totally worth reading. And I like the collection of these, because you can see him literally thinking through the ideas and developing until the final essay, which is the storyteller essay. So good addition. Okay, we're gonna go through these quick. Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. Honestly, I just found this book very underwhelming. So it's like 250 pages, and the margins are kind of big, and the text is not even small. And it's like, so the plot of the whole thing is that there's 3 different time frames, and like ranging from early 1900s to early 2200s, and there's this very intricate plot that involves this common anomaly across all these different sets of characters and histories and everything like that. And so that's one aspect of it. And then she's taken on like, because she's also trying to do like world building stuff, because in the future there's like colonies on the moon and stuff. So she's also got that going. And then she's got like some, like, related to the plot are these big themes of like the nature of time, and like simulation theory, and pandemics, and just like society. And all of that is like, again, like I said, done in like 250 pages. So everything, the whole book just felt very like, I don't know, very surface level to me. And some aspects of it felt just a little rushed, or even like scattered, you know what I'm saying? But I do like her writing, which is interesting. This is an interesting case of like, I do like the writing. It was like the elements of the story itself that, because then you can have people that have great stories told like in not good writing. So that's but so I'm giving it like a C+, I'm not gonna lie, but it did make Obama's 2022 reading list. So take that what you will, the weight, the balance of the scales. Up next is Stephen King's The Stand. Hold up, I'm gonna spark my fucking doobie for this one, because I didn't technically finish this book. It's 800 pages. Most copies are 1,000. I read 500 of the 800 pages, over 500 of the 800 pages. So do the scale there. Oh hell no! Every time, bro. And I still DNF this book. Honestly, I'm not even gonna get into it. It's just literally this book actually, in a very kind of interesting way, does all my writing pet peeves. Like I'm gonna do a video of this at some point, so I was kind of like thinking about it, and I do have very specific technical things that that just like I hate, and he literally does basically all of them. Like he's almost like a model organism, bro. That's funny, but it's just super corny. Like there's the whole book is just written like this, but it's like there's a lot. He said, "Don't send a kid to reform school unless you want him to come back with a size 11 asshole." It's like, all right. He said, you look like low-key roasted him. He said, you look like an advertisement for a summer vacation at Dachau, like the concentration camp, because they was like emaciated. It's like, and then the part where I stopped reading was literally there's this woman on a motorcycle, and it said, quote, a horrible yet sexy fear began to grip her, and then it says, it began to heat her up down there. And when I saw a horrible yet sexy fear used, like unironically, plus the whole fucking book is like that, it's excruciating, and they introduce all these characters, and it's like, are you gonna do anything? Like, you get their first name, last name, like Sally Sue, the names are cheesy as fuck, and it's just like, don't see them, and like nothing happened. The beginning is good, and then it's just like, bro, nothing is actually even happening. It's cat, bro. But anyway, so I had a DNF. I wanted to get to the ending, but, and I will say, I do like the aspect of, one, how fragile society actually is. Like, we think there is, like, it's this foundational structure, but it could, if shit gets bad enough, we really are not that in control, you know what I'm saying? And even, honestly, because it's kind of not pandemic related, but actually it kind of is, yeah. But, I mean, just to take a real life example, you could imagine, what if it was worse? Like, what if it was like The Stand? Ooh. That'd be tricky. But one more thing I will say about the book is he does talk about how, or at least the theme is that it's like humans they're both intrinsically good and intrinsically bad. Like, that's just human nature. You can't have one without the other. Yin and yang, baby. Damn. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging. Cheers. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what other books I should read, and let me know how you spending your 420 holiday. Thanks for watching Big Nate's Book Reviews, home of the best book reviews.